Hi, I'm going to show you how to make a mask out of a t-shirt, jersey fabric. And the main reason why I started making these is because I couldn't find any more elastic. In my area, it's just almost impossible to find elastic. And my family doesn't like the tie, the just sort of cotton ties. So I started making them out of t-shirts, and it's really easy and kind of fun. More fun than the regular masks for some reason for me to make. So I'm going to show you a couple different masks. And so this one is jersey on both sides. Same with this one. You can tell this was a t-shirt that said Albany on it. Jersey on both sides. But you can use the same pattern and the same style using just quilter's cotton or any kind of cotton, and then the back could be jersey, or for example this one is just regular cotton on both sides. But the nice thing is, whenever you use a t-shirt to bind the outside, you get this nice little elastic pull to it, and then you use the same jersey as your ear loops. I've also started looking at other fabrics that I could cut up around the house because my fabric store is really short on all types of fabrics. This is a bathing suit, so you could certainly use a bathing suit fabric to make a mask, and or your kids' outgrown t-shirts make great masks because they have all kinds of really wonderful designs on them. The other thing to think of whenever you're looking for the jersey to make the t-shirt is some jerseys are thicker than others. So I've noticed that the t-shirts that my husband wears, the fabric tends to be a lot thicker. So it's really wonderful for the actual face of the mask. But when you use that same fabric as the binding, it doesn't have a lot of stretch. Where if you have a thinner jersey, I think it makes a much nicer binding edge and a nicer stretch to it. But they all work really well. So I'm going to show you how to cut a pattern. You can notice that this is pretty thin fabric. So in terms of safety as a mask, probably not as good as a cotton t-shirt or one of the thicker jerseys. So I'm actually going to line this t-shirt with one of the thicker, I'm going to line the mask with one of the thicker fabrics just to make it a little bit of a heavier duty mask. I'm going to show you the pattern. This is the pattern that you'll probably download. Ignore the sexist descriptions over here. Now when you're cutting this pattern, you can take off as much as you want from this side and this side, because basically this is your nose and this is your chin. Once you start cutting off from this edge, you're going to have to adjust the length of the ear loops. Okay, so one thing I like to do is take the negative of the pattern if I'm doing something like a t-shirt. That way I can put it around and try to decide where I might want to cut it for my mask. And something like this I'm probably going to want to make a bunch of masks out of because it's a pretty cool print. And I don't want to waste it, so it's just a nice thing to do. I'm going to start with this, what is this? Pineapple. So I'm going to decide where I want it to be. Put my pattern back on, pin it, of course. I started using this recently. I love it. And I also took the hem out of the t-shirt so I could get a little bit more fabric out of it. So that's one side. And then, where do I want the other one to be? Should we just do that? Just continuing with the yellow? All right, let's continue with the yellow. I'm just gonna go like this. So that's the front of my mask. And then I'm gonna use this thicker jersey for the back. Okay, we'll use that for the back. And then I need lots of thin strips to make the binding that go all the way around. And like I said, the thinner jersey, I think, works a lot better for the binding than a real thick, heavyweight t-shirt. So I just cut these strips 1 inch wide. And it's really easy with this roller, but you could do it with a pair of scissors. So I'm just going to cut a couple of them now so that I can make my t-shirt. So I would probably just keep cutting this, and so I have as many strips of this for all the masks that I want to make. All right, we're going to sew these pieces together. We're going to do a straight stitch first, and I like to have the stitches kind of medium length. And I'm sewing these curves about 1/4 of an inch in, and don't stretch the jersey. Keep it flat. I bet if you had a serger this would be a lot easier, but I don't have a serger, so I'm just going to show you the real simple way to do this with just a basic sewing machine. Okay, so just about 1/4 of an inch in, making sure that the right sides are together. So same thing with this. You want the right sides to be together. Okay. And then cut all the threads off because you're going to be binding the edges together. And look, I didn't actually line it up real well, so I'm just going to snip it off. Okay, then you open it up. And you're going to have the seams touching on the inside. So you have seams on the inside and the correct side on the outside. You're going to match these up. And then you're going to take one of your strips. This is a good time to use short strips and save any really long ones for the outside of the mask. T-shirt fabric, maybe it's easier on this, has a right side and a wrong side. It's kind of hard to see, but the right side, you can see the lines going this direction. The inside of your t-shirts, a little more random. So I like to make sure that the lined part of it is on the outside, that I see it on my t-shirt. It's not going to make a difference to how it functions, but I just like to make sure that I'm using the correct side. So then you're going to do this short ends, and you're just going to fold it over. You could put a pin here if you want. Don't cut it though. Just start like this. Turn your machine to zigzag. And I use about a 2.5 I don't know what the unit of measurement is here, but I always set it at about halfway in the length. And then you're just going to zigzag straight down. So get your needle in there, do a couple stitches, keep your needle in, and then take this part, put half of it underneath of your mask, nice and flat. Half of it goes on top. And now this part's really important. You want to stretch this because it's basically elastic and it's going to help bunch everything up and just give everything a nice fit. Don't pull it too much. And then you're going to sew this edge, zigzag. Then when you get to the bottom, you snip it. And you do the same thing on this side. Get rid of all these threads. So this is what we have so far. It's kind of weird looking, but. So I have a longer piece. Again, make sure you've got the right edge. And then at this point, start underneath of the edge trim like that so it's not too bulky. Couple stitches, and here the mask curves, so you want to go slow enough so that you get the binding up against the curve. You can't pin it ahead of time. It's too hard to pin it ahead of time because you have to keep pulling the elastic. So it's easier just to do it as you go. Fold it over and pull. And always try to remember to keep the needle in all of the layers of fabric as you pull so you don't dislodge everything. So I'm trying to fold it all over. Again, pull. Here's another curve. Okay, so now we're getting to the ear loop section. So you just kind of keep going. You're going to decide how long you want those ear loops to be. I'm not sure who's going to wear this mask. Maybe I'll wear it. I'm going to make it 4.5 inches long. So I just use this. You could use any ruler. And I don't know if you can bring the camera here. What I do is I just kind of, don't pull this because it'll be longer. Leave it nice and loose. And then, again, you're not pulling. Don't pull this part, leave it loose. I'm going to make it 4.5 inches long, so I'm just going to put a pin there. And then I'll sew without pulling. This part you don't pull out to the pin. Take the pin out. And then you want to tuck this edge in the fold. And then I end up taking my pin and kind of helping ease everything over. So sew it, and then you've just made one ear loop. Okay, we're running out of binding, so there's an easy way to add more. So wherever you need to add more, you do this. Sometimes I've had to add more in the middle of an ear loop. Doesn't matter. Put your needle down and then just go like this. Probably would have been better to do this, maybe not where the fabric is so thick, but that's what we're doing right now. So you just fold it over. Sometimes it helps if you have a little pin or something to help hold it in place. And that's it. Okay, and then we're done. It's all done, but we have to get rid of this. Keep the needle in the fabric, turn it out of the way, snip it. You can save this. This is great again for the edges of your mask. And then I take a pin and I just grab this little bit of fabric and I put it under, grab the top, hold it. Maybe somebody has an easier way to do this. And just go over past that edge and just zigzag a few times. And you're done. And sometimes I go around and make sure, I don't know, cut a little edge off. And you can even reverse it. So like here, you might want to just snip it a little bit. And check the back, make sure that you've gotten the edge of your trim with the zigzag, and if for some reason you didn't, you can always zigzag again. But here we have a pineapple face mask made out of a t-shirt. All right, I'm going to show you again how to add a piece of binding because I don't think it turned out well on the other video. Keep your needle in this thread, in the fabric. Get your new piece of binding, overlap the binding by less than 1/2 inch, put half of the binding underneath, and then I just use a pin to hold everything in place, and I fold this over just like you were, and just kind of hold it in place like that. And then you're just gonna zigzag. You might have to stop and tuck it all under. Okay, and then that's it. Then you keep going. Okay, I'm going to show you how to finish off this mask. You've gone all the way around with the binding, and we're cutting this off. Taking a pin to put half of it under, half of it on top. And that's it.